So what I really want to take you through is a few different stages and techniques I like to use to take my range swing onto the golf course. Now we're all going to be working on fractionally different things in our golf swing. So if I think about my own game and things that I am personally working on, I get quite a lot of arm lift in my swing. So I'm always working on keeping my arms a little bit more down and connect, which helps me shallow out the golf club and swing a little bit more from in to out. That's something that I'm working on. Now, of course, when I'm standing there in a fixed environment, hitting shot after shot after shot, I'm actually able to execute that quite nicely. But then as I go onto the golf course and I've got a couple of minute walk between each shot, different clubs, different lies, wind, pin locations, it can actually make it quite difficult to find that feeling again. So I'm going to take you through a couple of steps that I like to use to do that. But before we get into that, how would I actually practice this on the range? What would the very first thing be that I do? So I would generally break my session down into a few different areas. So I've got 3 balls here, and I would break that down into deliberate, flowy, and then trying to execute the different targets. So when I'm over this ball, for what I'm working on here is I might wrap my shirt underneath my arm, make some golf swings that are quite slow, deliberate. I don't even mind if they're exaggerated and working out on the other side of that. And then from here, I can start to make some swings where it feels quite connected, slow. I might pump a few times and hit the shot. Now, I'm not going to be very outcome orientated here. This is all about, can I generate a feeling? Can I generate the right sensations? So I would certainly stand there hitting some shots like that for probably a good 15, 20 minutes, just finding the feeling, taking my time, making sure that everything is really dialed in, and also being very descriptive over the ball flight as well. When I hit balls, I want it to start right and curve left. And I think that a lot of us can actually, in our golf swings, really get caught up in the mechanics of it and actually forget what the golf ball is doing. How did I strike it? How was the curvature? But again, going back through it, I'm going to tuck my shirt under here. I'm going to make some very slow, deliberate swings, working down. That felt pretty uncomfortable there, but I'm sure when I go back, analyze it, look at the swings, it's going to be pretty good. Then I would work into the flowy state, so where I'm starting to ramp up some speed. So shirt under my arm, I'm starting to make those deliberate swings, but I'm trying to build in a little bit of pace to that. So I've still got the sensation, but I'm a little bit less careful of that position. I'm knowing that the drills I'm doing are helping towards it, but I'm just working into that flowy state. And then I'll start to build in some speed. Where I stand here, we start to work in a little bit more speed, and then be a little bit more reflective of the outcome. Again, I can't be too hard on myself. I'm doing drills, I'm finding feelings, I'm trying to find that middle ground, how they translate over. Then I'd probably do that for a further 10, 15 minutes. As I start to work into the session, I would do nothing. I now feel like I've got a good idea on it, and I'd hit some balls to a stock target again. So now I've got the idea of what I'm doing. I'd stand here, execute. I could feel that that wasn't quite right. I would reflect on it. I felt what went wrong. And rather than just hit ball after ball and get frustrated, I'd drop back down again and I'd go straight back down to almost level 1 again. How did that feel? Drop it back in here, back down to level 1. Drop the shirt out of my armpit again. And then from here, try and execute one last time. There we go. And I can feel straight away that was better executed. I had a better sensation for it. Which goes into the on-course stuff. There are going to be times that we just don't get it, but it's about pulling yourself out of that situation and pressing the reset button as quickly as possible. So let's say I'm on the 3rd hole and I hoik one like I did there. I should be pulling myself away from the ball, making some deliberate rehearsals. Every rehearsal is relevant to the outcome that I'm trying to make. And then again, get on with it again. So that's how we start to build up from technical to full swings on the range, but how do we do that on the golf course? Well, it's exactly the same technique. We have deliberate, flow, execute. So certainly one of the things that you can do is generate or create a really strong pre-shot routine. The pre-shot routine has to be very accurate into what we want the golf ball to do, right? So for example, I want to hit a high draw here. I wouldn't just stand there and have a little wave around on my arms just to get loose and then hit the shot. My rehearsal would really reflect that. I'd be standing there trying to feel that draw shape, get my arms a little deeper, keeping them behind, steering a little bit more out to the right. and then walking in and then executing. So we got the deliberate, flowy, and execution. So again, going back to my swing issues, how I take this to the golf course is I'm away from the golf ball. I've decided it's a 7-iron for me, and I tuck this under, get some deliberate feels. As I'm getting these feels, I can get an idea of what the ball flight's going to look like, what the shape's going to look like. Keeping this in there now, just getting some flowy feelings, really trying to just get a sensation of that. And then I heard someone talk about this recently, and I'm so sorry, I can't remember where I got it, but apparently you only have about 8 seconds from rehearsal to execution before we start forgetting the things that we've just practiced. So after I've done my flowy state here, and I've got the feelings, I've got my shirt under my arm, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. So there was my 8 seconds. And it's quite a quick one. Now, I didn't execute there, and I can reflect on that, but it's actually quite quick. We don't have bundles of time between there. So if I just got over the ball and I'm standing there and I'm just constantly thinking about, keep that arm tucked in, and I don't actually go into that flowy state and rehearse it, I think it could be difficult. And I see so many guys that freeze over the golf ball when they do this. So again, I'm going to tuck it under, deliberate. Lots of deliberate feels. Keeping it there, following up with the flowy feeling. Gives me 8 seconds. 7, 6, 5, 4. And I felt relatively comfortable there to execute, and it's quite nice. So there are some simple techniques that I personally would use to go from the range to the golf course. Now, they're not going to work for everyone, but they've certainly worked for a lot of my players. So I do hope that video made some sense. And if you did like it, please give it the thumbs up. And if you could subscribe, it'd really mean a lot to me. Thanks, and I'll see you on the next one.